Greetings and welcome to the Battlefield 3 Dev commentary. This run was made as part of a charity event to raise money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. It is provided free of advertisements, and instead I would like to ask that if you enjoy this content, please consider leaving a small donation. You will find a link to the donation page on screen and in the video description. Enjoy! Let's hope that we can load into Comrades now. That looked much better.
How many portable nuclear devices did you see in the bank vault?
One.
You saw one?
Just one. The space is for three.
Just because I see a couple of lights at night doesn't mean I saw a goddamn UFO.
Look, we believe there were three.
I believe Elvis is still alive too, but I'm not buying any tickets for fucking shows.
How about the other nukes? The ones already here. So you don't know about...
Yeah, it's I guess another victim of something that is new, I think, Levolutions. So I should give you the background to this. Levolution, the concept is cool but badly implemented was a comment. I think it's a kind of it's a victim of being new, pretty much, because what you do is you're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you had this? That's also one of the things you see in game development, by the way. It's like, wouldn't it be cool if? So common. You start out with that, and then you'll go like, yeah, well, let's try to make it this way, let's try to make it that way, and it's, you know. And at the end of all of the period, you end up with something you think like, yeah, this could probably work. Let's do this in full scale. So you go about doing all the expensive animation work, and you go about fixing everything. And then, you know, at the end of the day, it kind of turns out some certain way. And yeah, maybe in some maps it turned out really good, maybe in others it didn't. Maybe in some it had to be cut down a bit because, you know, it was something else didn't work or some system didn't come in that you were expecting to come in. There's a lot of that kind of stuff that happens in game development that you hadn't expected. So that's probably why. And you learn. You definitely learn, so for next time you have a bunch of new ideas you want to try out. This is funny, by the way. This car is extremely fast because when they set the timings for this, they were driving in an untextured city. And the thing is, everything looked like it was much bigger, so they drove a bit like faster. But now when you actually got textures in on it, it turned out to be super fast, which is pretty funny. And then by that time, we'd done mocap for the characters and stuff. Then they sort of lean in the corners and stuff, so you couldn't really, you couldn't change the whole thing. So we just had to try to sort of slow it down where needed. How are car scenes animated? That's a very interesting question. What they did was they set the car path, and they recorded a reference for that. And then what they do is they will set up a car on a mocap rig, and they actually have a whole bunch of guys lifting that car. So when you go through like a left turn, they will have people on one side of the car tilt the entire car to simulate that turn. This is actually interesting. I think I've played this mission more times with actual English voices than with their actual Russian voices, and I think it does give them much more character when they have the actual Russian ones. This is another pretty cool section. You come down here, you get sort of the ambush kind of thing, and where you get the entire sort of sprinkler system and the fire alarm stuff to kick in. There you go. Again, a bit of Levolution-like in the concept, but in single player. And you can actually, for those of you who dislike the tack lights, you can actually kill these ones so you see better. It's kind of one of those little details I really like. So you're now playing as Dima, so not only are you skipping back and forth in time, you're also skipping back and forth between characters. We've played Black a couple of missions, we've played Hawkins in one mission and the Jet mission, and now we're playing Dima. So that's another interesting thing. And yeah, a lot of people would really like Dima. Dima is part of the Russian Special Forces thing. And one of the few characters actually survived this game. It's another thing I kind of dislike about this game. It's like it's pretty grim, and it's the way it treats its characters. It's a bit of goes Game of Thrones on the fact that you shouldn't like anybody too much. I don't like the default weapon Dima has as much. I should pick up another one. Let's see. Oh wait, you have that. Let's switch this out. Switch that. That's good. Whoa. There we go. Now we have sprinkler systems on and all kinds of weird stuff going on. So here's we were talking about Levolution, like these kind of events that we had in BF3 sort of are the inspirations for the continuation of doing large scale stuff. In terms of single player, that had the effect that we really kind of tried to go into events where you have more of a bit of participation in it that aren't so strictly tied into just watching them. Something happens before your eyes and it's cool, but it's not really, you don't have anything to do with it. Like the naval battle on the NV4 had much more. So it has a bunch of cool like sinking ships and stuff, but you also have a bunch more gameplay in there. So yeah, in terms of multiplayer, that obviously became Levolution, which is what we've been discussing. PS3 and more hardline players and PC. I mean, the consoles are big. Consoles are big markets. Don't underestimate how many people play games on consoles. Even the old ones, like, they aren't that old yet. This whole scene is an interesting way. You can look at the way we handle squad in this game is like a fairly complex bit of like wiring and how they proceed. They will go to a certain position and then try to move on. So one of the scenes where you kind of get to see how. Let's put that on, shall we, before I keep explaining? You can see how badass the Russian forces are, in a way that the US ones aren't really in this game, because you're playing like the average Marine and these are like special forces. But yeah, they move and they stay at certain positions, so you saw they take up positions along the door and stuff, but they are also scripted to not stay if you are pretty nearby. So they shouldn't be like a... Alright, I'd completely forgotten about this scene. They shouldn't be like limiting to you. Whoops. And here's the funny thing, like, it's literally a QuickTime event that does nothing. I failed it, but that just causes him to step in and help out. And this thing is like... Yeah. There's so many details like that. Yeah. Kind of unnecessarily violent and morbid. This is another pretty cool section where there's lots of glass and lots of like paper walls and stuff, like an office environment, where everything just goes flying. So there's just fighting through the section. There's just stuff breaking and stuff flying around all over the place. It's where the destruction in this game really comes to its finest. Where's that from? What the hell going on? So you can see these walls will actually like break. I have to, hello, take cover behind the actual concrete pillars to actually get some cover here. And it's not like they see me through this wall, but if they track me behind here, they're going to keep shooting, and they're going to break the wall, and then you get line of sight. So it's a pretty cool system. Even though the AI doesn't necessarily have a lot of support for understanding that they can shoot up to get line of sight or shoot me through walls, we still just you rig it up in a way that is makes them behave a good way anyway. Now you can see, like, shooting at that guy, like the glass behind him broke and all kinds of stuff. Really cool environment. This office environment, so really cool to fight through. And they were actually. Am I playing on ultra settings? It's a pretty good question, actually. I don't even know what set to all. Probably put it to ultra. We set to auto, so it's had some ultra settings. It'll be fine playing on ultra though. I actually didn't check the settings of this game. I checked the settings of the PS4 before we started, but I didn't check this game. We had problems with the section for quite a long time. We were having problems getting to play in a good way. But I think once the realization came that we didn't need that many enemies for it to be good, because there was so much stuff going on, there's so much flying in the air and stuff, then it kind of fell into place. Another fun part of this is that the gas mask that you're wearing, that was actually a long time, like, you see him pulling it on in a first-person animation. So it has to go on your face, but we didn't have support for dragging like a first-person mesh along with you, so it's not a mesh. If you would look at the character from the outside now, you wouldn't be wearing a mask. So it's a texture-like thing that comes up in front of your image, but we had to time it super carefully in order to get it to actually like look like you're taking it on and then it's getting pulled off. I'm playing it in 1440p, so yeah. It's the native resolution of my monitor. It's being downscaled to be able to stream it at all, though. Whoops. So here you can clearly see, like, just from fighting through this space once, if you're gonna do this kind of map in multiplayer, you would want it to last a bit longer. But here it's like, we really want this to just, everything should be broken. When you play through this once, it should just be completely and utterly destroyed. Which, yeah, it does pretty well at that. There's obviously an enemy left here somewhere. This is something where the game did poorly as well. The way the enemies are scripted is usually to fall back in lines. Really? My PC is pretty good, yes. They're scripted to fall back in lines, but sometimes when that failed, they would kind of get stuck behind you and you have to go look for them to proceed, because most of it is based off of you just nailing every single enemy in the level. Which is not a design I'm really, like... They would sometimes be like, kill this many enemies and then the rest will flee. And that's a better one, but still not great. He doesn't let you... Like, the actual objective is always just clear the space. It's never, you know, proceed or something like that, which I would prefer more. But the AI systems we had couldn't handle that. Here's another big thing. There's this scene here was... It was one of those, like, this really has to be good, and this room has to be good, but it was left pretty late. Because this whole thing, yeah. But there was a... Yeah, there was a big event here that was supposed to, like, wreck the entire room, and yeah, lots of things going on, but in the end it just turned out to be this fight, which is, it's a fight that works pretty well. This environment is very different with all these round little things that you can get into and you take cover inside of But then you can... Whoops. And here's the event that breaks one of these, and that was supposed to be like the centerpiece of... So these are all like that now, but they was supposed to be the centerpiece of a big event. When will Bad Company 3 come out? Well, I wouldn't tell you even if I knew. Again, in general, that's not the kind of information you'll hear from me first. Whoop. Go back. Like, this is where we're going. But I can't open this door until they've killed off the last enemy, and now we're getting told to move here. We have to wait for them to catch up, and so that's some part of the scripting, just the details of this that I'm not very happy with. He obviously knows how to kick in a door and also how to be transparent, because the other guy just ran straight through. We're looking at that little jammer device, because the jammer is it's trying to jam their kind of a signal they use to trigger a bomb. Ooh, wow. That was a... yeah. The videos and this. Yep. So, we're coming out. And here's the scene I was mentioning before, on the street outside, where everybody will keep referencing heat, right? There's always this, we want to make the heat scene, right? But nobody ever does. Wait by the door, yeah. Ooh, wow. There's a lot of sliding in there. So yeah, the idea here is like now they are fighting police and we are fighting them, and yeah. Our problem is we are stepping out of this terrorist-infested building in front of a lot of police that are heavily armed, so we get to fight the police too, and we are actually chasing the other guys. So sort of story-wise, we are, you know, we're trying to take care of this for some reason without the involvement of French. They can't know that we're here. So, yeah, we're just chasing this guy through the police essentially, and yeah, trying to take down the police helicopter and stuff. So, yeah, we are now suddenly finding ourselves fighting the French police, which is not what we want to be doing, but that's what ends up happening, and we're sort of chasing them, and the idea was to have this sort of heat thing down the street, and it didn't turn out that way at all. And that just keeps happening, because that kind of thing doesn't mesh with gameplay properly. Yes, you're actually killing the cops. And they say the sort of story reasoning behind this is that the Russians are just kind of special forces. They'll do what it takes, you know. But yeah, you're actually killing French cops here. One of those events where we have so much kill the helicopter, so much canned animation in this that you know, they step out of their van so nicely that they become easy targets. And they also there's also so much other stuff going on that it's hard to keep track of the helicopter crashing into the facade and all that stuff. And it all has to be very precisely timed, because you could just dash through this. Especially if you're on easy. We are normal, but if you're on easy, you don't take that much damage, so you can just run through. And even if you're playing... It's very unreliable as a game designer to ever rely on the fact that the game will kill the player normally. Because somebody will just get lucky, right? Somebody's gonna get lucky, run through the entire section, and then your logic breaks. So you can't So you have to time everything based on where you are and stuff like that. So that's a very difficult section. So I will say this though, this didn't turn out to be heat. But it turned out pretty damn well. What is your favorite EA game? I would have to say the Mass Effect series. I am a complete Mass Effect fan. We're chasing this guy, but he had a friend with a rocket launcher or whatever that was. RPG, I guess. And we end up with this. There are a lot of technical details in implementing this kind of stuff. He has obviously run away, but the scene kind of this has animations for every single chair in this cafe and stuff. But those before that, they are gameplay objects, so they can move. So here's another kind of area where when you enter that scene, we despawn all the chairs and respawn animated versions of them. But yeah. Dude is having a bad time, but yeah, we are the like badass Russian forces. We have to deal with it, we have to keep running, and we are now chasing down this guy who we think has our nuke, or rather has, is about to set off a nuke in Paris somewhere. And there's more like fighting police here. We're just trying to rush down this guy, and stuff is blowing up as we run. It was pretty cool. During live streams when showing off the game, were you playing with unlimited health? Most likely. What we tend to do, we have a god mode in the game. So yeah, we're just gonna follow this guy here, not care about them at all. Because the point is to chase down this guy who has our nuke. And here he is. And of course, quick time event. But, we are the badass Russians, we can deal with this. And you, sir, are gonna beef their own in front of the train. So yeah, let's take a look at his bag, and yeah. It turns out they actually did leave their nuke where we left. The unlimited health thing is we have a god mode in the game that we almost never use, because that's where you take no damage, and that would be too obvious. But what we do use is something called Jesus mode. It's like a soft god mode. You take damage, but you never die. So you get all the normal hit effects and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty fun.